Hey guys, hey, it's Mr. Linney, and today we're going to work on adding and subtracting mixed numbers. And if you guys don't remember what mixed numbers are a whole number and a fraction together. So we're going to work on adding those type of numbers together. And this has some serious tricks to it. This one I would say is one of the more difficult things that we have to do in a chapter. But if we take it step by step, you'll see that it isn't that bad. It's like the normal fractions, doing that, and then adding one more step. So let's just jump right in and do one, and you can see what you think. Okay, so we have 3 2/5, and we're going to be adding 2 1/10. So here's our problem. And you're going to say, I don't know where to start. What I say to do is do the fractions first. So what we're going to do is go to 2/5 plus 1/10. You know that we have to find a common denominator before we can add them. So the common denominator between both of them is 10, and that times 2 means that I have to multiply the top times 2, and that's 4/10. And then this 1/10 stays the same. So like I said, just add them like they're normally there. So that's 4 plus 1 is 5, and the 10th stays the same. And then the next step is just to add the whole number. So 3 plus 2 is 5. Now, if somebody wants to get picky on this one, they could say that 5/10 is not reduced, and you could say that the answer is 5. And then what goes into both of them? I know that 5 goes into both of these numbers. And that means reducing them, get them the lowest terms. We have 1/2. So 5 1/2. You notice that 5 1/2 is the same thing as 5/10. So there's the first one. And now let's move to the next problem. Next problem. 6 3/4 plus 2 1/8. Once again, do the fractions first. So find a common denominator. I found out that it is 8, because 4 and 8, if I made my list, that 4 would turn into an 8 after the second time. So we go 8 here. That's times 2 times 2. That's 6/8 plus 1/8. We have 7/8. And then 6 plus 2 is 8. 8 7/8 is your answer. It's already reduced. You don't have to worry about it right there. Okay? Hopefully this isn't too crazy for you. Let's look at some of the subtraction. The first one I'm going to do basic, and then there's going to be one that's going to have a little bit of extra work to it. So 7 3/6 minus 3 4/12. Now, like I said, I normally do the fractions first. So go ahead and do the fraction. Find a common denominator. You notice it's 12. So this turns to 12 times 2. Whatever you do at the bottom, you have to do the top. So you have 6/12 minus 4/12. So you have 2/12, correct? And then you go 7 minus 3 on the wholes, and that's 4. Now, same thing. If somebody wants to be picky, they'll want you in lowest terms. Go ahead and get this fraction. You divide by 2 because they're both even. You get 1/6. Your answer would be 4 1/6. Okay? Now, let's go on to the tricky part. The tricky part is this one. We have 5 2/3. And we're subtracting 3 5/6. And most of you are going to say, this is easy. All I find is the common denominator. It's 6. So this 5/6, I'm just going to move over here. This one turns to 6. So that's times 2. This times 2. And then there we have our problem. Because we have 4/6 minus 5/6. And we cannot do that. You're going to say, what do I do? Do not take the bottom one and subtract the top one. Let's go over. And what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go over here. And we're going to have to borrow from the 5. Turn this 5 into a 4. And then we got to bring a whole out of here. So a whole for this fraction is 6/6. So we're going to have to add a whole to it, 6/6. So now we have 10/6 minus 5/6. And there we go. Now we can do it. We have 5/6 right there. And then we go back over, and remember the 5 is gone. It's only a 4 now. It's 4 minus 3, and that's 1 5/6. And that's your answer right there, guys. That one takes a little bit of extra time. Another thing that you can run into, and I'm going to go back to the adding on this, is that you can have 3 2/3 plus 2 2/3. So this one I just did it so we didn't have to find a common denominator. But now we're going to add this. It's going to be 4/3. And then it's going to be 5 4/3. That is not the correct answer, because if you look at this fraction right here, it's an improper fraction, meaning there's too much there. So this would be 4/3 would equal, if you go 3 goes into 4 one time, and then you have 1/3 left over. So now we have to add that to 5. So 5 plus 1 is 6, and then there's 1/3 left over. You may run into something like that as well, guys. Like I said, this one is kind of a little bit of a tricky one. It can be hard, but if you follow the steps, it should not be that bad. Let me know in class if you have any questions on it. This will be in one of your sections on a computer. Hope this helped you a little bit. I'll see you in class. Bye, guys.